Now let me take you on a tour of that makeup area. Well, we talk about the Champions League, of course. Hello. Over the digital guys. We're gonna get the lift too. Actually, no, we want to walk. Now, Champions League, exciting, huh? Where should we start? Barcelona-Roma, for instance. That's an interesting one because both teams that like possession mostly, but they can counter-attack very well. What do Roma have? Alisson, goalkeeper, certainly one of the best. A midfield that, yes, can keep the ball. De Rossi, Ningolan, and of course Strootman, but can counter-attack as well. And in Dzeko, 17 goals this season. This is someone that actually is not rated as much as others, but perhaps because he hasn't been seen in this kind of a stage before. He's having a great season. So, and he's actually, good start, he's actually the only player to have scored 50 goals or more in 3 of the top competitions. So Dzeko is in it, but of course you have to say Barcelona favourites, not because the team are playing fantastically well. I think they gave a lot of chances to Chelsea, and in fact Chelsea had the opportunity to beat them if it wasn't because of Messi, and that is of course the main difference. It makes Barcelona, it covers the cracks, the fact that they don't always control games, the fact that they concede chances. You could see that Chelsea hit the post 4 times, and they could have done more. I don't think the result reflected the performance of Chelsea, but reflected the fact that Messi was playing for Barcelona. That's exactly that. I still think this Barcelona is the worst of a decade, even though they could just go on and do very well in terms of trophies. But this is the best Messi as well. And it blurs, it kind of distorts the picture when you have Messi. Teams can do a lot of good, but then he just comes out with something, and you know, as we see in Barcelona, are running away with the league. They're in the cup final, and of course now in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. So what else? We got Sevilla, Bayern Munich. Surprising Sevilla, very, very surprising, because everybody in La Liga knew that you actually go at Sevilla, the big guys I'm talking about, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid, if you go at Sevilla, they do struggle. The reason being, mentally, they're not the strongest. They have lost confidence through the last, this season especially, because they saw themselves limited in the big games. They didn't score enough. Muriel has not scoring as many as he should, being the most expensive signing for Sevilla. And Ben Yedder was, yes, in the lineup often, and the Berizzo, but not so much with Montella. But football is funny, so Ben Yedder could have gone away on loan or sold in January if Batshuayi from Chelsea would have made it to Sevilla, which was the target. It didn't happen, so he stayed. He didn't start against Manchester United, could have scored a hat-trick, scored 2, which were making, of course, a cult hero at Sevilla. But this Sevilla is not the strongest in both boxes. They actually concede goals and they don't score as much as they should. So for Bayern Munich, this is a good opportunity to make it to the semi-finals. For me, Bayern Munich are the favourites of this competition. They've got absolutely everything. They've dropped only 5 points out of the last 57 in the league, and Jupp Heynckes. With Javi Martinez playing in the midfield, the team has gained in solidarity and in solidity. You've got perhaps in Hummels and Boateng a little bit of weakness, if you like, but they're still very strong centre backs. Ulrich is doing very well in the place of Neuer, who started training on his own, but I don't think he'll be ready for the quarterfinals. And then up front, you know, they've got so much quality. Thiago, who had a little injury in the last 16, but I believe should be okay for at least one of the ties of the quarters. You've got, you know, Müller and Lewandowski and Ribery and Robben and all that. So they've still got a lot of quality up front, and it's a team that knows how to win, and they're doing it now. Perhaps not so extreme in the way they pressure high and in the way that some of the things that Pep Guardiola used to do with them, but still in a very German way, if you like. They go at you, they attack in numbers, and they're very good defending too. So favourites, of course, Now, Juventus-Real Madrid is intriguing. Juventus is the only team to actually have knocked out Real Madrid in the last 3 years, because the other 2 times Real Madrid won the league, but the Champions League. So even though Juventus won't have Pjanic or Venezia because they are suspended, they still got a very strong side that don't need to play well. Same as Real Madrid, they don't need to play well and they know how to win. The second leg is at the Santiago Bernabeu. That should give them an advantage. And of course, they showed in the Champions League final that Real Madrid, even against very strong Juventus, they are ahead when they find the form. And that's exactly what's happened. I'm not sure this was planned like this, but quite clearly with Cristiano scoring as many goals from August to January than from January to now, suggests that he's saving his best for the end of the season. Did the same last season, of course, that allowed Real Madrid to win the league and the Champions League, and him winning the Ballon d'Or. So, an interesting stat, he's won the Champions League in 3 out of the last 4 years. Well, Messi has won it once in the last 6. So I think Barcelona have let Messi down that way, because he should have more Champions League in his pocket. So, Real Madrid playing at its best. It's not the BBC automatic anymore. Lucas Vázquez and Marco Asensio have been making a lot of impact the last few months or so, and quite clearly Isco have to recover his form. He's lost a little bit of confidence. So has Bale, and because he's not an automatic starter, he was on the bench for the 2 PSG games. But with Cristiano and Benzema guaranteed starters, then it will be a fight to see who is the other ones, because Modric and Kroos and Casemiro should be also in the lineup. And then, depending what Zidane would like to do, it would be a 4th midfielder or a 3rd attacker. So we'll see. We'll see the form of the players, because he's shown against PSG that it's not down to your name anymore. It's about what kind of form you reach that stage when you know Zidane has to make decisions. Right, what else? Of course, the big one. Liverpool in Anfield first against Manchester City. Let me tell you one thing, first of all. Jurgen Klopp is the manager that has beaten Guardiola more than any other manager, 5 times in all competitions. And that means, because it goes beyond the detail, of course, of trying to get the best out of Bayern Munich or Manchester City. It goes with the style of Klopp and his teams. I've got the impression that the way to beat Manchester City, as it was before the way to beat as well Barcelona and Bayern Munich, is to go at them. Yes, I know that in the past defensive teams have actually managed to beat Barcelona, but they always do it with the risk of it could go that way or that way, because it gives Barcelona the chance, or Bayern Munich the chance, to actually have possession of the ball, which is what they're comfortable with, and create a lot of chances. So those games could have gone either way. But one way to actually damage, in the long run, if you like, a team of Pep Guardiola, it's the Klopp way, which is to attack them. To attack them because, number one, if you keep the ball or you have it and City don't, they are less comfortable. He wants the team to have as much possession as possible. And of course, if you attack them, that limits the way of they attacking themselves. So we've seen the kind of games that those two sides can produce. Amazing atmosphere in Anfield. I've been there many times, and that will be important for the first leg, of course. They should both score, and let's see at what stage City is in, because remember, they've only played in Europe 52 times. Well, of course, Liverpool have won it 5 times, and you think that doesn't make any difference, and certainly it's all history, some of those titles for Liverpool, but it does carry weight to have been a winner in the Champions League. It does carry weight. It suggests you have kind of an obligation to history, but certainly you know how to do it because you've done it before. So that includes fans and that includes players, even though they were not there. It's the weight of the shirt. And of course, Manchester City have got the pressure of actually having to win something, as well as the... and they will do, of course. They won one, the Carabao Cup, and there's the Premier League coming. Winning the Champions League should not be an obligation. They have to win something. What I meant before is they have to win something in European territory at some point, and I'm sure that's what they're aiming to. But I wouldn't consider them favourites just because they are learning how to do things. And, you know, for me, Real Madrid should be favourites, and Bayern Munich should be favourites, Barcelona should be favourites, Juventus as well. They know how to do it. That is important. Against Liverpool, it is a little bit the way both teams play. A coin in the air. I couldn't tell you in my eyes who is favourite, but I will be at both games, because it will be very, very exciting to see how both of them trying to beat each other. There should be goals, there should be a spectacle, and yeah, looking forward to it. Just a reminder that a little bit of a celebration, the fact that for the 6th consecutive season, Spanish sides have made it to the three Spanish sides have made it to the quarterfinals. I did think this was the year where the Premier League was going to beat the Spanish League in that term, but even in their knockout games, Premier League La Liga is 22 La Liga, 4 for the Premier League. But I do believe that the trend is changing, and I think we will see that. You cannot analyze anything from one season, but the trend will change. You could see that Spurs could have beaten Juventus. You could see that Chelsea had the opportunities to beat Barcelona as well. But it didn't happen, not yet. So there'll be only one English side in the semi-finals, and let's see what happens with the other 3 Spanish sides. I would say Barcelona will go through, Real Madrid will go through, Bayern will go through. And out of Liverpool City, let me think about it and come back to you. Cheers.